Welcome to the Westport Library. Today's program will begin momentarily. Supported by Verso Studios, created locally and shared with the world.
Good evening, everyone. I invite you to take a seat as we get our program started. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight for this exciting launch of Women United. My name is Isabel Almeida, and I'm the president and CEO of United Way of Coastal and Western Connecticut. I'm thrilled to welcome you to what we hope will be the beginning of a powerful movement, one that brings together women to drive meaningful change in our communities. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to introduce you to United Way of Coastal and Western Connecticut. United Way has been a trusted partner across Fairfield and southern Litchfield counties for more than 80 years. Our mission is simple, yet bold: to build a community where every individual and family has the opportunity to thrive. We do this by addressing basic needs like food, housing, and healthcare, while also advocating for long-term solutions that create equitable pathways to financial stability and success. At the heart of this mission is the ALICE population, those who are asset-limited, income-constrained, and employed. These are hardworking families and individuals who often earn too much to qualify for traditional assistance programs, but too little to make ends meet. They represent more than 40% of households in our region, and in some communities, this number is as high as 66%. What's more, ALICE is not an abstract, it's personal. These are our neighbors, friends, and family. They are our child care providers, our healthcare assistants, our grocery store clerks, and perhaps even some in this room may have grown up as an ALICE or associate as an ALICE household even today. A disproportionate number of ALICE households are led by women, and many include children. In fact, 73% of single mother households in Connecticut fall below the ALICE threshold, compared to just 15% of married parent families. This stark reality underscores the urgent need to support women and children in our community who are working every day to provide for their children and to achieve financial stability. At United Way, we address these challenges through a holistic approach. We deliver direct assistance to families. We advocate for policies that make a difference, invest in local nonprofits, and bring people together to solve complex community issues. Women United is a perfect example of this collaborative spirit, a movement that empowers individuals to lead, inspire, and create lasting change. I want to take a moment to thank all of you, our supporters, partners, and champions, for being here today. Whether this is your first exposure to our United Way, or whether you have been with us on this journey for much longer, we are grateful that you're here, and your presence is a testament to the collective power of our community and the commitment we all share to building a better future. Now it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Sherry West. Sherry is a former Fortune 500 management executive turned social entrepreneur and the founder of Live Girl, a women's leadership organization dedicated to developing and mentoring the next generation of diverse female leaders. Sherry is also the author of Confidence Unleashed, a book that inspired countless women and girls to embrace their potential and lead with confidence. Sherry's work aligns beautifully with the mission of Women United, and we're thrilled to have her here today. Please join me in welcoming Sherry West. Sherry, thank you. Okay, you're gonna hand me this one?
Okay, welcome, welcome. We can hear a louder, let's get some energy going here, especially where's Team Live Girl? Like, we can hear, yeah. I am so honored to stand up here tonight with the United Way to launch Women United. It's such a powerful idea, and I think in this moment in time right now in our country, I can't think of anything more important than women coming together to create impact. And I just want to start by saying, in my life, I've learned that when your environment or the world feels out of control, that is the exact moment where you should focus on what is in your control. And that's what we're all doing here tonight, right? We're here, we're coming together as women, and we're investing in ourselves as leaders. That's what tonight is about. And when you look across the room, and I've met many of you during the networking, there's a full spectrum of women here. We have college women, Alexa, just beginning to chart their course. We have women early in their career, just finding their voice. And we have some CEOs in the room. I want to hear some, hands up for CEOs and business leaders who are shaping organizations. But what we're talking about tonight, leadership, it doesn't matter where you're at in your career. It does not matter what your title is, because leadership is not top-down, but it's all around. And we all have a role to play. And I wrote Confidence Unleashed to really help give some leadership gems. It's really geared toward early career women to help them understand there are things within your control that you can do to rise as a leader and to really influence, initiate, and drive impact. And so I'm gonna share a few of those gems. I could be up here for hours, and the book is back there for anyone who's more interested. I'm just gonna highlight a few, but we're actually gonna start with a fun little icebreaker because we need to bring some energy into this room. And a core tenet of the book is owning who you are. So this icebreaker is an opportunity for you to be proud and loud of who you are. So I'm gonna read through a couple different designations, and if they apply to you, I want you to jump up and cheer loudly. Okay, we're gonna move rapid fire. This will have some energy. So, yep, that's right, take your coats off, put your purses down. We want 100% participation here. So I'm gonna read the designations out, and I want you to stand up and cheer madly and loudly if it applies to you. So first, stand up if you've started your own business. Stand up if you've mentored another woman. Stand up if you work in a male-dominated industry. Stand up if you were the first woman in your role. Stand up if you've completely changed career paths at least once. Stand up if you've received a promotion in the last year. Congratulations. Stand up if you're a working mom. Oh, here's a fun one. Stand up if you've attended a Zoom meeting with pets or kids in the background. Hannah, this one was for you. Stand up if you've made a new connection tonight. And finally, please be loud and proud. Stand up if you believe in women supporting women and if you're ready to make a difference with Women United. Thank you for the energy. I love the energy in this room. I love the fact that you ladies are owning it and you're proud of who you are, and that really is where it all begins. I'm also proud of who I am. Just sharing a little bit about my career story here. You'll notice that my story does not look like this. It wasn't a straight line to the top. It looks more like this. Lots of twists and turns. I grew up in a farm in Michigan, and from there went to corporate America, first at PepsiCo and then GE. And a decade ago, moved to the nonprofit sector and founded LiveGirl. And last fall, entered the book publishing industry and published a book. So the point here, though, is, like I said, no stories go straight to the top, right? And I want us to all share our stories more honestly. And I really want all of us to embrace the fact that sometimes we're gonna soar and sometimes we're gonna fail, but all of those experiences are so worthwhile. And I can confidently say that I would not be standing up here tonight with all of the different experiences I've had. I'm proud to share that there were lots of twists and turns, and sometimes I even had to take a step back to move forward. I did also take a career pause for over a year when my 3 kids were little. But I'm standing up here today because of those experiences, because of those failures, because of what I've learned. And I'm so proud, and I'm so proud of this team here in the front, with LiveGirl having served over 20,000 girls and young women over the past decade. And this book, Confidence Unleashed, is really inspired by that decade of mentoring young women. And I should say, we are a very proud partner and grantee of United Way, who helps make our work possible. So thank you, United Way. Okay, so I've shared a lot about me. I'd like to make this very interactive for you to share just one more thing about you. The next step of owning your journey, owning your narrative, and shaping your narrative is being able to talk so powerfully about yourself. And ladies, we don't always do that. We hold ourselves back. I do this exercise with girls and women of all ages, and it's every time, it's so hard for girls and women to do, just to pick 3 power adjectives and boast about themselves. So what I want you to do now is I want you to make sure you've met everyone to your left and your right. If you find someone you haven't met and introduce themselves with 3 power adjectives. For me, I am Sherry West. I am innovative, impactful, and tenacious. It's so awesome to meet you, so go.
I think it's the left up. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you for playing my networking game. Can someone share how that made you feel when you introduced yourself with the simple exercise, 3 powerful adjectives? How did that make you feel? Good? Powerful? Valuable? Confident? Okay, those are all things you deserve to feel, so keep going with that. The next thing I'm gonna do before I move further is I just want to take a minute and set the table for why female leaders matter. Why Women United matters. And I'm gonna do this in a fun quiz style. I even have prizes that the United Way provided to me. I have three simple facts, and whoever knows the answers to these 3 simple questions are gonna get prizes. So the first one,
We know that women outpace men in college graduations. In fact, significantly outpace. About 58% of college graduates are women and entering the workforce. But what percent of women earn that first step up to manager, from entry level to manager? Which percent of women get to go up that rung? So for every 100 men promoted from entry level to manager, how many women are promoted? 33, 12? 5?
25, 6, 40.
It's a number. For every 100 men. Okay, you're gonna get the prize because you're closest. So for every 100 men, again, this is the first promotion from entry level to manager. For every 100 men, 79 women are promoted. They actually call that the broken rung because we focus so much at the glass ceiling at the very top. But the gender disparity in our organization starts much, much earlier. Okay, I think the next two might be a little bit easier. What percent of Congress is women? 24, 4, 30, 25? All right, who said 25? Okay. 28%. So even though we're 51% of the population and 58% of college graduates, we're 28% of our government. Okay, last one here. What percent of Fortune 500 CEOs are women? What percent? 5? 2, 3? Oh, I heard someone say 10. Who said 10? It is 10%, but there are only 2 black female CEOs. And actually, Liv Girl is going to meet Tasunda Duckett at TIAA in April. We're really excited about that. She's one of, but only 10%. So why does this matter? It's because there's a huge body of evidence that shows the benefits of gender diversity. It's research-based, that gender-diverse teams make companies, our country, the world, more productive, more innovative, and yes, more profitable. So it helps the bottom line. So ladies, yes, we need to keep, this is important. And if you ask me why it's important, I'll give you a personal answer. Because I have a daughter who is a college senior and about to enter the workforce. And when I look at GE and PepsiCo and the other companies out there, I wouldn't want her to work there. So I'm committed, and Women United is committed to bringing us together to make sure that we keep moving on this. And while it's very important to acknowledge the systemic barriers that hold women back, especially women of color, it's also important for us to focus on the aspects within our control. And that's the lens through which I wrote the book, Confidence Unleashed. And I wrote it in 2 sections. The first half was called Shift Your Mindset, and the second half was Build Your Skills. So I'm just gonna give you a couple of highlights from those sections. So shift your mindset. So think of it like this. Are there any gardeners in here? Anyone who likes to plant flowers? So the first half of the book is like putting the soil down, planting the seeds, and the second half then is tilling the garden so that they grow into, bloom into flowers instead of weeds, right? But shifting your mindset is really examining and being self-aware of your mindset to make sure that you're unleashing the power that's inside of you. So it goes through, yes, what you would expect, owning your journey, failing forward, embracing uncertainty, embracing failure, all of those things. And it really, like I said, it starts with owning your journey, and that's why I wanted to start out with our networking games, but really taking charge, being in the driver's seat to own your narrative is so important. And a story I like to share here is, and I think some of the Live Girl team knows this, but I grew up on a farm in Michigan, and when I went to Michigan State University, go Green, which, by the way, they're ranked number 7 in basketball right now, which is awesome. And when I went and entered the workforce, my first job at PepsiCo, I kind of walked into the office, and I quickly got overwhelmed with my colleagues who, just seemed savvier. They had Ivy League degrees, they had, frankly, money. I didn't, and I let them shape my narrative, right? And so suddenly I was that girl from the farm who didn't dress as well and maybe was unpolished and needed more training. But that wasn't right. And it took me time, but now, I am so damn proud of where I came from, and I know that my story, where I came from, is the reason that I'm so resilient, and I'm so tenacious, and I'm so powerful. And I own that now, and that is my story, and I'm proud of it. And that's what owning your narrative is all about. And once you know, once you set that intention of who you are, and you start to make sure that that's all what you're showing and being consistent outward, you can really then start to take more risks, because this is a key tenet that we talk about in the book. So I think most of us hang back here in the comfort zone. I know I did for a while. I think, we find people that make us feel good. We join the book club with those people. We go to exercise class with those people. This is human nature. So it really has to be a mindset shift and an intention that you set to really put yourself into your discomfort zone and into your growth zone. And it literally is stepping back to say, what makes me feel uncomfortable? Now I need to go do that. Right? Whether it's seeking out a cross-functional assignment or standing up on the stage if public speaking is something that makes you feel uncomfortable. What makes you feel uncomfortable? And go do that. For me, there's a very specific point in my career that I can look back on where I was at GE, I was thriving, and my manager came to me and said, I really think you should look at the GE audit staff. Ritu's here. We were on an audit staff together. Oh, I'm gonna tell this story. I can look back at this, Ritu, and my manager said, you should really look into this program, which travels around the world, auditing the G company. And I thought, no, thank you. Literally, it's hard to believe, but at that point in my life, I hadn't even been on an airplane. But I had a good manager and a mentor who really encouraged me. I took the leap of faith. And I can literally, now looking at my skill set and career trajectory, look, there's kind of a before audit staff and after, right? Because I was way outside here in my growth zone. And that was such a transformative time for me. And I definitely wouldn't be standing here today if I hadn't said yes to that opportunity. And there's a lot of data, research in the book. Everyone agrees putting yourself outside of your comfort zone is probably the most important thing you can do for your career, to accelerate your career goals. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes you fail. But then it's all about how you honor your failures. And this is actually something we use in Live Girl with the girls starting at age 10. It's so beautiful. You failed? Congratulations. You've earned a fail certificate, a first attempt in learning, right? And this is a literal certificate, but how can you incorporate that into your life, right? Every day. I tried something, I failed. What did I learn from it that I can carry forward? Go forward. And I can say again, wouldn't be where I am today without having tried and failed, tried and failed, tried and failed. Hector's here, he's a photographer. Wait, do you know how many, a wedding photographer, how many photographs does a wedding photographer estimate? Does a wedding photographer take at a wedding? Hector does really good headshots, if I want to. Okay, a wedding photographer takes between 5,000 and 10,000 shots. But when they give the photo album to the bride and groom, there's maybe 100? Less than that? Yeah. So it's like a good analogy, right, to life. Take your shots. Take lots of shots. That's what we're here for. And I'm mindful of time, so I'm going to keep going. But the second half of the book is building your skills. And, you know, for this one, I really was reflecting on that past decade of mentoring young women. Because there's a lot of different skills, obviously, that's so important. And Hannah will get all academic on me and talk about the National Association of Colleges and Employers and the skills they're looking for. It's important, I'm kidding. But the ones that I really see holding women back, I see a lot of women like wishing they were more confident, just thinking that if they read a book on confidence, it's gonna make them more confident. But the reality is the only way you build confidence is by doing and by building skills that breed confidence. So one of the top ones here is just owning your career and showing up for yourself. And I think as women, we do so much for everyone in our orbit. I think I want to give you the license to think about what you're doing for yourself and how you're investing in yourself and how you're pouring into yourself. And just even like a mini reflection on that is just right now in your seat, close your eyes if you're comfortable or just not, but think, when is the last time that you've asked for feedback, you've taken initiative, or advocated for yourself at work? Like, asking for feedback is a big one because, let's be real, most managers are not, they're busy too, and they're also not, most of them aren't trained in giving really good, helpful developmental feedback. You have to ask for it. You have to build your ask muscle. After tonight, I will ask someone on my team, probably Hannah, and say, Hannah, what's one thing I can do better next time when I'm presenting? Like, that's a question I ask all the time. Just make it, you know, it's like that quick nugget. One thing I can do better. And for the rest of you, like, maybe set an intention right now. After, when we end here in the next half an hour, take initiative. Ask one new person you met tonight for a networking meeting. And commit to tomorrow going to talk to one person at work to advocate for yourself, whether it's a personal conflict or you need to talk about a scope on a project. Commit to it now. I love Carla Harris as like my all-time favorite like leadership guru, but one thing she says, I actually just said this in the Live Girls Team meeting today, is that Carla Harris says you have to call a thing a thing. And I think about that all the time because as humans, we always fade away from the hard conversations, and advocating for yourself means you have to lean in and have those conversations. And then just two other quick ones I want to highlight, and then we're going to move on in the program. But public speaking is definitely holding a lot of women back. It's one of the biggies. And I don't care what career you're in, what company, it's a skill you have to get comfortable with. So Amanda, you're the next keynote speaker. Where's Amanda? I signed you up. And she's right there, okay. Because she just told me she doesn't like speaking at events like this. But we know it's important, and I know why we hold ourselves back, and you do too. Let me ask you a question. So what words have you used to describe a woman that speaks up or talks a lot? Ooh, okay, I'm gonna bleep that one. Bleep. Okay, what was over here? Annoying. Strong. Too much. That's my favorite. I've been called too much to my face. Aggressive. Intense. Bossy. They keep coming, don't they? Controlling. Yeah, they keep coming. It's so ingrained in us because we hear it all the time. Have you ever heard any of those words used to describe a man? So right here tonight, we could do an awesome thing at Women United. We could recognize that this is a hurtful double standard and say, no, thank you, no more. We can take up space, we can speak up. Sometimes talk too much. I'd rather you talk too much than not enough. So this one's important. And the last one is networking, and congratulations, you're all here. So you're all getting a Confidence Unleashed badge tonight. But the thing I'd say is what I see a lot is with women, young women, like networking like there's no tomorrow, and like racing to get the largest stack of business cards and the most followers on LinkedIn or social, but it's really about intentional networking and really, thinking about it as a personal board of directors and thinking about who you need around you in your orbit to be successful in your career, and then cultivating deeper relationships. So it's not like having the most followers, right? But it's having someone you can pick up the phone and call. I'm sorry, Gen Z and millennials, text or email when you need advice. But the networking tonight is huge, and this is an awesome event. So with that, we're gonna transition. I have my QR code up there. There's more information on my website. We also, at the check-in, we have some information on Live Girl. These ladies here in the front row, they're doing tremendous work preparing girls, middle school, high school, college age, to lead themselves, then to lead others, and then finally to lead in the workforce. And so we've got information, lots of opportunities for you to become mentors, or even speakers. If you have that public speaking fear, you can come speak to our girls. But thank you. I appreciate being a part of this.
Thank you, Sherry. I'm gonna put this down here so it doesn't roll away. Your commitment to lifting up women and girls is absolutely inspiring. At this point, actually stay up here because I'm going to invite our panelists to join us up here on the stage. I'm gonna move the... Oh, did you want to take questions?
Oh, no. Actually, go out of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because that's, oh, no.
I might need some assistance. So I'm just going to keep talking. I'm going to welcome our panelists because I'm really excited about this part of our agenda here. So first up is Carmen Hughes. Carmen is the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the City of Stamford, a trailblazer in creating inclusive spaces and addressing systemic barriers. Carmen is also an esteemed board member of United Way of Coastal and Western Connecticut and chairs our Equity Committee. Welcome, Carmen. And next, we have Kate Hamford Donahue, who is CEO of Hamford Research, where she leads with innovation and vision, not just within her company, but across her industry. Hamford Research has been a long-standing partner and supporter of United Way's work here in Fairfield County, a partnership that I'm deeply grateful for. So welcome to Kate. We're going to spend about 25 minutes exploring their leadership journeys and how they've overcome barriers and are paving the way for others to succeed. Ladies, welcome and good evening. And I'm going to come sit over here. All right, so each of you has achieved incredible success in your own fields. Can you share a defining moment in your leadership journey and how it shaped your path? Kate, I'll start with you.
I can definitely do that. So the first 20 years of my career I spent in the cable television industry, part of the time with my good friend Mary Morano, who I haven't seen in like 20 years, so awesome. And then my dad, who had started a chemical manufacturing company, called me and said, I'm not going to be alive much longer. Somebody from the family needs to run the business, and you have the most experience. Now, chemistry in high school is junior year. I did well in the class, but there was this boy that most of my attention was focused on trying to get his attention. So I didn't remember anything. And I get there, and my dad was a very successful businessman, but the company was not in good shape. He had Alzheimer's or dementia that he had been covering up. We were losing money. It was not good. And I realized that I was going to have to turn this thing around, that I couldn't let it fail. But the defining moment for me was realizing that I thought my power or my credibility as a leader came from the fact that in the cable industry, I knew everybody. I knew all the companies, I knew all the issues, I had grown up in it. I could do anybody that worked for me their job. And now I'm in this place, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a chemist, I don't have any of those tools. And I had to draw on a whole different set of skills and experiences to be able to lead this organization. And I mean, nobody was there to fire me, but I had to find another way. And it was like a door opening for me. And if anyone had told me then that I would love my job as much as I do, or that I would have been there 18 years, I would have said, you're on crack. Like, that is not happening. So the unexpected challenge, like Sherry was talking about, like grabbing it with both hands, telling you there's nothing like it.
Carmen.
Wow, I struggled with this one as I thought about it. There's been so many defining moments, but if I were to pick one, my career, I spent 20 years on Wall Street at JP Morgan, and I was a marketing major at school, so even going to Wall Street was a big leap. But I remember starting in operations and saying, this is not for me. And I got to the trading floor, and when I saw the sea of people on the trading floor, and the sea of men on the trading floor, and the sea of white men with white hair on the trading floor, I remember at first being nervous and being scared, but then thinking, okay, I can do this, and I'm gonna have to watch them and model what they do and do what they do. And that whole journey of being on the trading floor and just trying to make sure that me and my young 20-something-year-old self was able to fight back the way they did and slam my phone down as cool as they did. And because if you didn't slam your phone down right, and if it didn't break, then that was worse than not slamming it down at all. So I perfected that. But then I do remember I got the opportunity and I got a supervisory role at a young age. And there was a woman who had been in the role, she was about 10 years older than me, and she had been in the role for about 12 years. And when it came time to look at our reviews, everyone was talking about how great she was. I mean, she was fabulous, and she was. I mean, she knew her job inside and out and did it with the greatest attitude. And after everyone said how great she was, we went on to the next person. And I'm like, wait, so we're not gonna promote her? Like, if everyone thinks she's great, why aren't we promoting her? And that was just a great lesson that I learned right then and there, that you have to advocate for yourself. Because the response was, oh no, she loves what she's doing. She's never asked for a promotion, so let's keep her there. And so I immediately marched over to her desk and I said, are you happy doing what you're doing? Is this what you wanna do? And she's like, no, I wanna do X, Y, Z. And we went off and we ended up promoting her, and she became a great asset to the corporation. But she stayed there for 12 years, trying to smile more, work harder, things she had to do more and more when she was already doing great things. The only thing she wasn't doing was advocating for herself.
I don't think you have to do anything.
Oh, okay, thank you. So those are great stories, great defining moments. I think for me, it would be when I pivoted from the corporate sector to the nonprofit sector, and I was at that point where I had 3 little ones, and I had moved to part-time at GE, but had really felt like I was kind of like, the jack of all trades, master of none. I wasn't a good parent. I wasn't a good worker. I wasn't doing well in my career. Nothing, it was just everything was falling over the edge. And so I did decide to take a career pause and really struggled with what was gonna be my next step. Like, I anguished, like in hindsight, I anguished with this decision of what to do next. And then my husband, who is very supportive of me and my work, just said, what lights you up? And I was like, oh, interesting question. And so then I started to think about it in a whole different way. Like, you know, what lights me up? Like, what's my why to drive me forward? And how can I align with that? And to be honest, like, I considered a number of different things, working at other nonprofits, you know, other areas of women's leadership, but I didn't really find what I was looking for, like the U2 song, so I created it. And, you know, sometimes that can be a solution too, to be a social, you know, your own entrepreneur, whether it's a business entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, but I saw a problem that needed solving, and I was pretty confident that I had a skill set that could help solve it, so that's what I did.
Great. I'm going to move us on to mentorship and confidence. And Sherry, for you, how can women, I mean, you've spoken so much about your experiences, and your book had so many excellent recommendations. I was joking, I went on a little trip, and it was my beach read this past weekend.
I do not recommend it as a beach read. Like,
No, it was great. It was great.
I have another book list for you for that.
How can women leverage networking and mentorship to build confidence and accelerate career growth?
Yeah, so I am pretty passionate about this one. Because relationships are so important, and Carla Harris talks about relationship currency. I love that term, because a lot of us, we have to unlearn the notion that if we do well in our job, everything else will take care of itself, and that simply is not true. You need a network, you need a personal board of directors, you need people around you that can help accelerate your career goals. And so it's networking with intention. I mentioned it during the presentation, but it's not collecting the stack of business card, but it's really being thoughtful and intentional about the relationships you need to establish and cultivate. And I have so many young women who want me to mentor them, and I'll start out with some connection, and then they just like drop off the face of the earth. I never hear from them again. So it's all about cultivating relationships over time. The ones that are top of mind for me are the ones that check in every month or so. Hey, just want to give you an update. Here's what I'm doing now. Here's something I accomplished. And then when there's an opportunity, they're top of mind for me. And so I just think it's really being intentional with relationships. And I will say that when I founded Live Girl, and now have grown Live Girl over a decade, I would say about 90% of the success story is the relationships we've built. Like first forming the board, then putting the advisors in place. Maria Roca is here, who's one of our advisors, having the right people to advise us, building your donor base, your corporate partners. That's all relationship driven. So we think about perform, but we should be thinking a lot more about the relationship currency.
Can I add on that? Real
Absolutely.
quickly? I just want to build on what you said, because sometimes you think about a board of directors, oh, I have to find 10 people. Start with 2. Start with 1. You can have a board of directors of 3 people. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of the relationships. And so don't get hung up on how many people it is. Find just a couple that you can connect with and that you can rely on to respond to you when you need advice.
And I'll tie that back to the personal board of directors, which I think is a genius way to thinking about your own personal network and the people that you want around you and you need around you. You're absolutely right. Start with 1, start with 2, and build that network and that connection with people who can lift you up.
And I just want to add one thing to board, because I'm so passionate about making sure that you have your personal board who's going to give you the advice that you need to hear. So make sure that people on that board not only think like you, but also think different from you. Yeah. So it's gonna give you that different perspective that's gonna ask you a lot of questions that you're not asking for yourself, and will allow you to get to that honest answer. Because sometimes that answer is deep down inside you, but you don't know what it is. So you need that person who's really going to ask those tough questions. And even the person who really thinks completely different than you, that's gonna say, I didn't think about it like that, right? Because remember, you don't have to take every advice you're given, right? But you wanna make sure you have the right people who you trust, who you can bounce everything off of, so, sorry.
So now I'll ask, what role has confidence played in your success, and how have you worked to instill that in others? Carmen, we'll start with you.
Confidence. Confidence is something that you really shouldn't be thinking about instilling in others. I mean, if we really think about it, we all have confidence. And it's something that, it's a muscle that you have to practice. And I love when you were talking earlier about, it's not a book you can read, it's something you have to practice. It's about constantly going out of your comfort zone and developing that muscle. From when we were babies and we went from crawling to walking to running, we fell down, but we kept getting up. That was building our confidence to know we can do something. And I love that certificate about failing, because the faster we can fail and learn from our mistakes, I look at everything as just an opportunity. So it's an opportunity to fail because it's an opportunity to learn, right? And so when I think about confidence, and I'm also an executive coach, so when I'm working with women about, career transitions or how they want to go up in their career and they're having all the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome, I'm always thinking, okay, let's go back. When was the time that you did it right? When was the time when you were really proud of something that you did? And let's use that as like the building blocks of showing you the confidence that you can do it, right? And what did you learn from those times when it didn't work out quite as the way you wanted it to? That's not a failure that we're gonna let and just keep us down, but that's something we're gonna build up and keep going. And it's a muscle. It's like, you just gotta keep doing it. And every time you do it, you get more and more confident.
I would add on to that. People tell me that I seem very confident, but I'm actually pretty shy at the heart of myself. I have to be confident in chunks. Like when Mary and I would go to conventions, I would be misconfident talking to everybody. But after a convention, and to this day, I have to come home and not talk to anybody for 2 days, right? Just really coming tonight, right? I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna say hi to my husband and that's about it, right? So you don't have to be confident 100% of the time. You can parcel it out, but you gotta have it in you. The other thing is I was literally having this conversation with this young woman that works for us today she's got lots of issues at home, struggling to finish her degree. She's been with us since she interned. We chose her as an intern coming out of high school. And it's taken her 5 years to finish her degree, but she's still at it. And I asked her, like you said, tell me 3 great things about you. And she struggled. And I wouldn't let her leave my office until she gave me 3. Now I want you to think about those 3 things every night. And it's simple things like that, that forcing yourself or whoever you're trying to mentor to name the things. Because we're not supposed to brag, right? We're not supposed to be too out there. I've even called myself too much, a lot. I regularly say, oh, I'm just too much for people. And I have to stop doing that. But there's a difference between being too much and being confident. You can be there.
One last question in this space, and then we'll move on to something else. But who do you think has inspired you the most in your leadership journey? And again, how do we all pay that forward as we try to build the next generation?
I mean, I'll start. I've had fantastic bosses, I have to say, over the course of my career, men and women. I mean, people that I want to emulate and a few that I did not want to emulate. I think it's about trying to take what's important from each of them. I don't think I ever had a perfect boss, but I had some really, really good ones that taught me a lot. And in this role that that I'm in now, all that cumulative knowledge and input and perspective is what has allowed me to succeed at a company that I have no business succeeding in, honestly. I should not, nobody would put me in charge of this company in their right mind. But we're thriving. And then I went on to be on the board of directors of our industry association. All white chemical men. And I'm circling around now, but just learn from everybody. Learn from everybody.
Well, I can follow on to that because as I sat there trying to think who that one person was, I could not name one. And I mean, when I went down my list of everyone, I mean, there were so many people on that list in terms of who inspired me, who helped build the confidence, who helped shape me the person I am today. And I too had fabulous leaders in my life. And my first boss at JP Morgan was a woman. And I had many women bosses. Even my boss today is married, she's a woman, right? But a lot of even people who inspired me were my mentees. You know, I had some really incredible mentees who I'm like, wow, I'm learning from you. And they inspired me and they helped me to up my game as a leader. So from men to women to my mentees, and then I also had people who were leaders who demonstrated what leadership doesn't look like and gave me some really great things of, you know, what a leader who I didn't want to be, right? So.
Jerry?
Well, you guys are covering these questions so well, but I will say, and it's clearly I just want to amplify that you can learn from, when someone is doing something that doesn't make you feel comfortable or good, to really be observant about what is happening right now, what is this leader doing. You can learn as much from that situation. And the other thing I was just listening and I forgot that I was speaking, so I'm like nodding along, but the mentees and like Gen Z, I love I've learned a lot from my mentees as well, because I love Gen Z's approach on questioning everything. And I heard this analogy, which is so good, because like in my generation, when our bosses said jump, we said how high. And now today, with Gen Z, if their boss says jump, they say why. But there's a lot of value in that. And so I think what all three of us said is, if you're open and curious and open to learning, there's lessons in leadership all around you all the time. Up, down, all around, good, bad leaders. So it's definitely something you can be intentional about and be almost like an anthropologist about it. What is this person doing that feels so good right now, right? And do more of that.
I'm going to pivot us to barriers. And so, Carmen, I'm going to start with a question for you. As a DEI leader, you see firsthand the systemic barriers that women face, especially women of color. How can women support each other in breaking these barriers?
I love this question because it's so simple. It's doing exactly what we were talking about here today. Be a mentor, be a really strong mentee, be a sponsor to a woman, help women get their voice back if you're in a situation where someone has taken their voice from them. And when you think about the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, you know, a mentor is someone who is, give you advice, and they can, have experience that you can leverage from. You're getting guidance from them. But a sponsor is someone who has the power to make a difference. They're in the rooms that you're not in. They're the ones who are advocating for you. So if you are a woman who is in a leadership position, who are you mentoring, and then who are you sponsoring? How are you making sure that you're developing another woman to take your seat, to take another seat? There can be more women at the head of the table. It doesn't have to be just one. And I think oftentimes we don't help other women enough because we feel like there's only room for one of us. And then I also believe that we need to do a better job of giving the voice back. How many times have you been in a meeting and you heard a woman say something and then a man overshadowed what they were saying, or diminished what they're saying, or took credit for what they said, and you just sat there and you did nothing, right? So practice what you would say if that happened. And that happened to me just recently. I was in a board meeting, and I said something, and one of the men on the board totally dismissed what I said and just kept going. And it was a woman said, wait, hold on. Can we go back to what Carmen just said? And I appreciated her so much for doing that, because you know what? We can be big and bold and we can do it for ourselves, but to have another person do it for you is so much more powerful. And if you don't feel like you can do that in the moment, then go up to that woman afterwards and say, I know what just happened in there, right? And let them know that they're not alone, because it's such a lonely feeling when it happens. You're like, am I crazy? Did that just not happen? Did no one see that? So just at least if you can't do it in the moment, just to give that woman like some comfort to say, it's okay, we can get through this, or I heard you.
Thank you, Carmen. Sherry, with the anticipated policy changes of our new administration and the challenges to DEI efforts, How do you see these factors influencing gender parity in the workplace?
Okay, let's all take a cleansing breath. So look, we obviously have to acknowledge the DEI headwinds. They're strong, but the work has to continue. I'm kind of an evangelist in gender parity. I believe everything I presented about the research-based benefits of gender parity. I think, the work is more important than ever. I think also we have to remember that DEI, gender parity, is bigger than any moment, bigger than any one administration. And if you need to remind yourself, go back and look at the history, go see SOFs, read a book about RBG. We've been here before. Progress continues. Progress will continue again because there are smart people and smart companies like Costco and JP Morgan Chase and Microsoft who understand the benefits of DEI and gender parity, and most of us do. So the work will continue. The work is more important than ever. Rest when you need to. But we will continue because it's the right thing to do.
Can I add on to that? Please. So to say that this has been emotionally straining, it'd be an understatement. But I will say that despite what the headlines are saying, believe that the companies that are out there that understand the business imperative to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and gender parity, and everything else you can put under that umbrella, believe it that they're still going to do the work. They're gonna put the headlines out there to say that they're walking away from DEI and they're releasing their CDOs. But really what they're doing is they're just taking the target off their back. And they're gonna continue doing the work. I have been having calls with so many of my friends in all these organizations to ask what is going on? And the language is just changing. And to what Sherry said, the pendulum sways, right? And so I will admit, I feel as though that DEI was becoming very divisive because of how people were using it and interpreting it. And I think it was time for us to have a language changing, right? So that way we can embrace it again. And I think that's what's gonna happen. So while the pendulum is swinging, it's going to be a rocky road. It's gonna be days where you're gonna feel sucker punched. But just have belief that there's many more companies out there like the Costco's and the JP Morgans of the world, and even the ones who have, I'll call it quietly quit, diversity, equity, inclusion, they're still doing the work. They still understand the business imperative behind it. So don't accept every headline as it's being put, because I think a lot of it understands that it's a political move. They have to say they're moving away so that they don't become a target for worse things to come.
I would just add on to that. I literally wrote to Target today and said, I am canceling my credit card, and I'm a die-hard Target shopper. And I got an answer back. And they said they will be taking my comments to the leadership team and that they appreciate the input. So I think you are right, but I also think we have a voice as consumers to those companies to say this is what, and Amazon, I'm struggling a little more. I have to get my husband on board with no more free shipping, but I'm gonna use my buying power, right? To send a message. And it's not huge, but it's something. And I would echo, breathe. And I'm also trying to narrow my vision because I think part of what the administration is trying to do is create so much chaos that we're like, squirrel, 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 not just every day, it's like several times during the day and the night when something else comes out that is horrible. I'm really trying to focus in on one or two things where I can make the most difference. Not that I'm gonna ignore everything else, but that I can feel like I can move the needle a little bit and not feel so powerless, which is how I've felt the last couple of weeks.
This is a perfect segue to our community involvement subject here. So we've got a room full of women who obviously are here because they care and they want to connect with one another and want to make a difference. So for those who are inspired by United Way in this evening's conversation, what advice would you give about getting involved, making a meaningful difference?
Go liveGirl.org.
just do it. It's needed. There are so many organizations out there. Find one that you're passionate about and do it. Get involved at any level. If you don't have the time, but you have the funds, get the funds. If you have the funds and the time, get both. But I mean, there's something, I'm sure you can find something that you can do if you want to do it. And with whatever you're passionate about, there's help that's needed.
And if, you know, if the grant money, federal grant money really is drying up, there's a lot of organizations that are going to need help, and a lot of them are in this room. Find a way. Pick one, pick 10, whatever, but there's plenty of need. So it's just a matter of you trying to figure out what matches best with you and giving your time or your money, because it's needed. And support Women United.
Thank you, thank you. All right, lightning round. Last question. What's one piece of advice you'd give to the next generation of women leaders? Kate, we'll start with you.
Lead with humor and joy and persistence.
I didn't think we were going to make it to this question. No, I do believe, lead with confidence, lead with determination, lead with believing in yourself, and lead with inclusion. Right? Remember that there's another woman behind you who's following your footsteps. And so reach back and help that person up too.
I'm hot right now with a new piece of advice, which is I want to flip the script. So for anyone, Alexa, looking for their first job, or if you're looking for your 10th job, companies reference check you, but flip the script and reference check the company, because I'm old enough now to realize that if you align your work with a company that shares your values, you're going to be a lot happier. So flip the script, reference check the company.
Thank you very much to all of our panelists. Ladies, this was tremendously inspiring. So I know that I'm supposed to flip the slide here. So give me a second, because I'm going to stay seated, and I'm going to make you guys sit up here with me for the closing remarks, because these are really super quick.
We need to go get a drink. Come on.
Or you can go get a drink. But you all have inspired us to think about how we can step up as leaders and change makers, and you lifted up the importance of laying the pathway for the next generation. And I'm grateful for the time that you've spent. I'm thankful that we are launching this Women United effort with you at our side and with these inspiring words. And I thank all of you for coming and being a part of it. This event is just the beginning of what Women United can accomplish together. We have 2 exciting opportunities coming up. We have a gala. Did I put it? Yes, I'm on the right slide. Thank you, folks. So we have our United in Impact Gala on March 6th in Danbury. I know that feels like the other end of Connecticut from here. It's not that far. I live there, and I'm here now. We're going to celebrate our commitment to community that night. I hope you can join us. And the next Women United event will be on April 2nd in Norwalk, which will focus on early childhood education and supporting the youngest members of our community. So I hope you make it to the next. And we do hope that these will be gatherings that we'll have throughout the year to come together like this, to learn, to connect, and to rebuild community. I want to leave you with this thought. Which is that creating meaningful change requires all of us to come together, not only to meet basic needs, but to build the systems and structures that ensure that every individual and family has the opportunity to thrive. Women United is about building that future, and tonight, I invite each of you to be a part of this journey. Whether it's by donating through the QR code or the Venmo displayed on the slide behind me, and I know we have them sprinkled throughout the room, coming to our next event, volunteering your time, or sharing the work that we're doing with others, because there's so much happening in community that folks don't know about. There is a place for you at this table. And together we can support the women in our community who are working tirelessly to build better lives for themselves and for their families. Your support is critical in making this vision a reality. By coming together, we can lead the way to a stronger, more equitable community where every person has the chance to succeed. thank you again for being here tonight. Thank you to our panelists. And a big thanks to my staff who put this together really quickly, and it's a beautiful event. And so thank you to my team, and I look forward to seeing you all at a future event. Thank you.
And there are a few copies of my book if anyone's interested over there by the food.
Yes.